Hi students, welcome back to our channel. Now we are going to discuss about our next concept which is related to lines and angles of class 9. Now we are going to discuss about a pair of angles. In this we have to learn about a pair of complementary angles and pair of supplementary angles, then linear pair angles, then vertically opposite angles and adjacent angles. These are the concepts that we are going to discuss. Okay, let us observe this pair of complementary angles. Complementary angles means what? If two angles are said to be complementary angles, if the sum of two angles is 90 degrees. If the sum of two angles is 90 degrees, then those two angles are known as complementary angles to each other. Let us take an example. 20 degrees and 70 degrees, and adding them you get 90 degrees. So as the sum of these two angles are known as 90 degrees, then these two are known as complementary angles to each other. That means what is the complementary angle of 20 degrees? If anybody asks us, then we need to take that 70. What is the complementary angle of 70? That is a 20. In the same manner, if I suppose that this 20 degrees has a x, then its complementary angle how will get that is of 90 minus x. So two complementary angles are always in the form of x and 90 minus x. This is about complementary angles. Next concept, that is about supplementary angles. If the sum of two angles is 180 degrees, if the sum of two angles is 180 degrees, like 60 degrees and 120 degrees, and adding them you get it as 180 degrees. So these two angles are known as supplementary angles to each other. That means what is the supplementary angle of 60 degrees? That is of 120 degrees. Supplementary angle of 120 degrees, that is 60 degrees. In the same manner, these two supplementary angles are in the form of x degrees and 180 minus x degrees. Okay, so standard form of two supplementary angles is what? X degrees and 180 minus x degrees. The standard form of two complementary angles is known as x degrees and 180 degrees. Here, to avoid confusion between these complementary angles and supplementary angles, we can remember very easily regarding complementary angles. Here, if I take the complementary angle started with the CO, okay, so if I change it like this becomes 90. That means the sum of complementary angles is 90 degrees. If the complementary angles sum is 90, definitely supplementary angles sum will be 180 degrees. That we need to remember. Okay, in the same manner, next concept that we need to discuss, that is about adjacent angles. Adjacent angles means what? If two angles are having a common vertex and a common arm and no arm in common, then those two angles are known as adjacent angles. What does it mean? It means that, let me draw a diagram for that. If you take that angle AOB and angle BOC, two angles are in common. Here, these two angles are having a common vertex. What is the vertex here? What is the vertex here? O. Here also vertex O. By which arms it is formed? Angle AOB. Angle OB formed by the AB ray, OB ray and OA ray, and angle BOC formed by this OB ray and OC ray. Okay, so here if you observe these two angles are having a common vertex O and a common arm OB, and these non-common arms, these two are non-common arms OA and OB are on either side of this common arm. So these two angles are known as adjacent angles. These two angles are known as adjacent angles. Similarly, if I take that angle AOB and angle AOC, if I take another angle as an angle AOC, here vertex also O, and by which arms it is formed? It is formed by this OA ray and OC ray. Okay, and if you observe this, you can notice that these two angles are also having a common vertex O and common arm OA. Common arm OA is a common arm, but here non-common arms. Here OA is a common arm. Non-common arms are on the same side of this common arm. So these two angles are not adjacent angles. So to say two angles are adjacent angles, there must be a common vertex and a common arm, and non-common arm should be on either side of this common arm. Then only we should say that two angles are known as adjacent angles. This is about adjacent angles. Okay. Next concept is what? Linear pair angles. Linear pair angles. Here, just now we discussed about adjacent angles. Okay. What is adjacent angles? Adjacent angles are known as the two angles are having a common vertex and a common arm. Let us suppose here. Here also we have two angles. What are those two angles here? Angle POQ and angle QOR. These two angles are having common vertex O, and by which arms this angle POQ formed? This is formed by the OP ray and OQ ray, and this is formed by the OQ ray and OR ray. Okay, these two angles are having a common vertex. Okay, vertex is in common and common arm OQ. Here non-common arms are what? Here OP and OR. If you observe this diagram, OQ is a common arm and non-common arms on the same either side of this common arm. So these two are known as the adjacent angles. Here you need to notice one more important concept. These non-common arms forms a straight line, that is of RP. If two adjacent angles, in the two adjacent angles, if non-common arms forms a straight lines, then those two adjacent angles are known as linear pair angles. Those two adjacent angles are known as linear pair angle. Here this is very, very important concept, that is about linear pair angles. If two angles are linear pair angles, then sum of two linear pair angles is 180 degrees. That means sum of two linear pair angles is supplementary. Okay, so this is about linear pair angles. And the next concept about angles around a point. Angles around a point. If I take that point O, around this we can form many angles like this. Okay, so here 1 2 3 4, these four angles, and adding these all four angles that sum of these all measures is 360 degrees. That means sum of all angles around a point, that is of 360 degrees. Okay, next concept about vertically opposite angles. What is mean by vertically opposite angles? Means what? Two angles are known as vertically opposite angles if they have a common vertex and no arm in common. Let us take this. If I take that angle AOB, here angle AOD and angle BOC, these two angles are having a common vertex O, and by what arms it is formed? It is formed by the OA ray and OD ray, and this is formed by this OB ray and OC ray. Here if you notice this, these two angles are having a common vertex O, but no arms are in common. Such angles are known as vertically opposite angles. No arms in common. So these two angles are known as vertically opposite angles. And similarly, here it forms another pair of vertically opposite angles, that are angle BOD and angle AOC. These are also known as vertically opposite angles. Here, what is the property which is related to vertically opposite angles? Two vertically opposite angles are always equal in measures. Vertically opposite angles are always equal in measures. That means if this angle is 60 degrees, definitely this angle is also 60 degrees. And if this angle is 60 degrees, then these two angles forms a linear pair angles. Then this will be 120 degrees, and its opposite angles, vertically opposite angle, becomes, this is also 120 degrees. Likewise, we can solve the concepts, we can solve the problems by using these all the concepts which we have discussed up to now.